Sindel believes that as long as he keeps pretending to be a beta, no one will ever discover the truth. But the two strongest alphas in Galad have already sensed a secret that no one else could detect. Before he can escape with his mother, Sindel realizes he has already been marked by a mysterious prophecy beetle. The harder he tries to hide his true identity, the closer he comes to having it exposed. Then, inside a strange dream, even Anu discovers that an unknown power exists within Sindel, one that even Sindel himself never knew about. From that moment on, the search is no longer driven by curiosity. It becomes a real pursuit. Just as Sindel wakes up, convinced it was only a nightmare, urgent knocking echoes through the house. Outside, the royal guards have already arrived before he has a chance to make his next move. Inside a sealed chamber, Sindel struggles to stay calm as the two royal princes corner him with relentless questions. A seemingly harmless pearl becomes the beginning of a misunderstanding that threatens to change everything. Anu coldly asks whether Sindel used his gift as an excuse to get close to people inside the royal palace. Ish immediately follows with another sharp question, leaving Sindel under even greater pressure. Every explanation feels meaningless, as if the two princes have already reached their own conclusion. With nowhere left to hide, Sindel finally decides to reveal the secret he has been keeping. He has never wanted power or noble status, only a chance to enter the Royal Apothecary Archives, opened only once every 10 years. Those archives are his only hope of finding the answer he has been searching for. As his quiet plea fades, the story suddenly shifts back to events from 6 months earlier. At that time, Sindel was simply an outstanding student from a poor family at Hogna Academy. After the final exams, instead of enjoying a break, he became the target of a group of arrogant alpha nobles. Their mocking words quickly turned into bullying as they blocked his path and shoved him to the ground in front of everyone. The pen in Sindel's hand snapped in half, but his pride remained unbroken. The alpha students continued insulting his humble background, treating him like entertainment. Just when everyone expected Sindel to quietly endure the humiliation, he did something no one saw coming. He deliberately injured himself, turning the bullying into an incident the entire academy could no longer ignore. Under the laws of Galad, any alpha who attacked an Omega on academy grounds would face severe punishment, regardless of noble status. A single calm statement from Sindel was enough to make the entire group hesitate. Can any of you prove you were not the ones who did this? At the height of the confrontation, Vel suddenly appeared and immediately stepped in. With his reputation alone, one warning from Vel's was enough to send the bullies retreating. Vel's offered to take Sindel for treatment, but Sindel quietly declined. He knew that a few injuries could never erase the gap between nobles and commoners, nor did he want Vels to stand against the noble families because of him. Even so, Vels chose to trust Sindel and asked him to help purchase a rare medicinal ingredient from the Galad black market. The payment would be enough for Sindel to continue his studies while supporting his mother. Leaving the academy, Sindel hoped to finish the job quickly and return to studying the Royal Apothecary Archives. But the Galad black market was the most chaotic place in the kingdom, where pheromones constantly filled the air. Sindel struggled to stay composed as countless alphas around him fought to control their instincts. It was then that two mysterious figures quietly emerged from the crowded streets. Ish gave a faint smile after catching a familiar scent unlike anything he had noticed before. Anu also stopped walking and quietly closed his eyes, as if confirming a strange intuition. A single delicate fragrance was enough to make both royal princes change direction at the same time. Unaware of any of this, Sindel had no idea that his fate was about to become intertwined with theirs. Amid the noisy marketplace, Anu slowly opened his eyes. Ish smiled with quiet curiosity, and both of them spoke the same words, orchid. After their brief encounter at the black market, Anu and Ish immediately recognized a mysterious scent they had never forgotten. The sudden appearance of an Omega with an exceptionally rare pheromone compatibility in such a chaotic border region was enough to make both princes change course. Ish was eager to find the owner of that scent immediately, while Anu remained calm, carrying himself with the composure expected of the future heir. But the true purpose of their journey was never just an Omega. It was the prophecy of the Harmonizer, the one said to change the fate of the kingdom of Galad. According to legend, only a harmonizer could calm an alpha's heightened sensitivity and restore unstable pheromone glands. Meanwhile, shortly after leaving the academy, Sindel began noticing something unusual happening to his body. His pheromones started leaking uncontrollably, making every step more dangerous than the last. Sindel hurried toward Uncle Kang's shop before everything slipped beyond his control, but his heat arrived earlier than expected, and every breath became increasingly painful. With no time to find suppressants, Sindel had no choice but to rely on the ability he had hidden for years. He was one of the rare harmonizers, someone capable of healing pheromone glands and calming both omegas and alphas. Yet, for someone born into poverty like Sindel, that extraordinary gift had always felt more like a burden than a blessing. His mother had warned him that if his identity were ever exposed, the nobles would never allow him to live in peace. Even so, Sindel secretly used his ability to earn money, hoping to give his mother a more comfortable life. Just then, an unexpected knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Two visitors introduced themselves as merchants, yet everything about them suggested they were far more than ordinary traders. They explained that they were searching for a harmonizer to help a friend suffering from an extreme period of pheromone instability. A single emblem from House Dami was enough for Sindel to realize these two men were hiding far more than they admitted. A chilling thought crossed his mind. Had they already discovered his secret? With no other option, Sindel immediately sealed away his pheromones and disguised himself as a timid beta working in the shop. He believed that if he could keep the act convincing long enough, they would eventually give up and leave. But Ish was rapidly losing patience, while Anu silently studied every subtle change in Sindel's expression. Sindel continued playing the role of a shy beta, apologizing repeatedly and pretending to be frightened in hopes of lowering their suspicions. The plan seemed to be working until Anu unexpectedly softened his tone to reassure him. That unexpected kindness caused even Sindel to lower his guard for a brief moment. Then Anu quietly said that he had just one final question. A single glance from Anu was enough for Ish to understand exactly what he meant. In an instant, Ish moved before Sindel had time to react. Sindel lost his balance as the distance between the three of them disappeared in a heartbeat. Ish leaned closer, carefully observing every breath and every lingering trace surrounding Sindel. His expression changed the moment he detected a familiar scent hidden beneath the surface. Orchid. The word echoed like the key to a secret that had remained locked away for years. For the first time, both Anu and Ish looked directly at Sindel with expressions that were no longer driven by simple curiosity, and Sindel understood all too well. His carefully crafted beta disguise was on the verge of falling apart. A single trace of fragrance is enough to convince the two princes that Sindel is hiding a far greater secret than he admits. Even though Sindel repeatedly insists that he is only a beta working at the shop, neither of them is fully convinced. Ignoring every explanation, Ish demands that Sindel prove his identity on the spot. Under the pressure of facing two powerful alphas, Sindel can only endure in silence to protect his fragile disguise. Yet the longer Anu observes him, the more unusual every one of Sindel's reactions seems. Ish changes tactics, convinced that if he breaks through Sindel's defenses, the truth will reveal itself. Even so, Sindel refuses to expose his identity, despite pushing his body to its limits. Ish insists that the orchid scent is still unmistakable, yet the person standing before him shows none of the reactions expected from an ordinary Omega. For the first time, the two brothers find themselves genuinely puzzled. Anu notices another clue, a faint herbal scent found only in rare formulas used to stabilize pheromone glands. A poor beta would have no realistic way to obtain such valuable medicinal ingredients. Realizing suspicion is growing, Sindel immediately slips deeper into the role of a timid and helpless shop assistant. He offers every coin from his small wages, apologizing repeatedly and taking all the blame upon himself. The performance gradually wears down Ish's patience, while Anu grows even quieter. Just as they seem on the verge of uncovering the truth, Anu unexpectedly calls an end to the investigation. The two brothers quietly leave the shop, leaving Sindel alone in the now silent room. Only after the door closes does Sindel finally allow himself to relax. All along, he has been secretly using his harmonizer ability to suppress his own pheromones. That extraordinary ability is what allowed Sindel to convincingly appear as a beta in front of the two strongest alphas in Galad, but resisting the overwhelming pressure they created, has left his body almost completely exhausted. Sindel knows that if he had held on for even a moment longer, his secret would have been fully exposed. Meanwhile, Ish refuses to accept letting his target disappear so easily. Anu, however, remains calm because he believes he has already found an important lead. In Anu's view, what they truly need is not an ordinary Omega, but a harmonizer powerful enough to serve the royal family. That is why today's withdrawal was never a defeat. It was simply the opening move in a carefully planned trap, set in complete silence. Anu is certain that, sooner or later, Sindel will come to them on his own, and when that invisible thread finally tightens, the secret of the harmonizer carrying the orchid scent will have nowhere left to hide. Rumors about the influential guests from House Dami quickly spread throughout Ninhursag, while Sindel only wanted to fulfill his promise to Vels and quietly disappear. But in the middle of the marketplace, he suddenly heard someone loudly calling his mother's name. Haduna was being forced to pay compensation for a flower pot at a price that could have supported an entire family for a year. Without hesitation, Sindel rushed forward and stood in front of his mother. The other party repeatedly used their noble status to intimidate everyone around them. The crowd was frightened, but Sindel remained remarkably calm. He quickly pointed out one flaw after another in their accusations. From the type of soil used to the transportation costs, every detail exposed cracks in their carefully crafted story. In the end, Sindel agreed to pay only the flower pot's actual value. Just when it seemed everything was finally over, an even bigger problem appeared. The money pouch Vels had given Sindel was recognized by a servant from House Dame. Before Sindel could explain, he was falsely accused of stealing it. He and his mother were immediately restrained in the middle of the market as everyone looked on. None of their explanations were given any consideration. The servants even declared that Sindel would be taken away for judgment, while Heduna would be separated from her son. Standing before his mother, Sindel could only accept all responsibility himself, but his willingness to endure was treated as nothing more than another weakness to exploit. Just when there seemed to be no escape, a sudden shout echoed through the marketplace. In an instant, the attack was stopped, leaving leaving everyone frozen in shock. Anu and Ish appeared as though they had known exactly what was about to happen. To Sindel's surprise, Anu calmly brushed the dust from his face without saying a word. Ish looked at Sindel with growing interest, while Anu quietly declared that he had finally found something truly valuable. When Anu extended his hand, Sindel accepted it without hesitation. That single decision changed the course of everything. The servants of House Dame still tried to rely on their influence to threaten the two mysterious visitors, but with a single decisive move, Ish sent them fleeing in panic. Before leaving, Anu handed Sindel the address of their residence and asked him to visit the following day. At the same time, inside the Dame estate, the entire family was furious that their plan had failed, and when Lady Dame ordered her people to eliminate Sindel at any cost, the true conflict was only just beginning. After his encounter with Anu and Ish, Sindel realizes that leaving Ninnersag will no longer be as simple as he had hoped. Haduna quietly packs their belongings, hoping to take her son away from the land filled with growing danger, but Sindel gently stops her with a single sentence that changes everything. He takes out a strange beetle he recently discovered hiding on his cloak. At one glance, Haduna recognizes it as a tracking beetle often used by nobles to follow their targets. That means someone has been keeping track of Sindel for quite some time. Instead of running away, Sindel decides to face the situation using his medical knowledge. He will continue pretending to be a beta, even though he knows the disguise medicine is gradually losing its effect, and to uncover whoever is behind all of this, he chooses to walk straight into the most dangerous place of all. As night falls, the beetle inside its small box suddenly begins making an unusual sound. Sindel pushes the unsettling thoughts aside and slowly falls asleep, but the moment darkness surrounds him, his dream quickly transforms into an unfamiliar world. An intense wave of heat spreads through his body, making it impossible to think clearly. At that very moment, Anu unexpectedly appears before him. One look is enough for Anu to notice that something is terribly unusual. The person everyone believes to be a beta is showing signs that simply cannot be explained. Sindel struggles against the overwhelming sensation, but the harder he fights, the less control he has. Then a distant bell rings, drawing Ish into the dream as well. The two brothers quickly realize that the prophecy beetle has guided them to this place. What surprises them even more is that Sindel can absorb pheromones despite appearing to be a beta. Anu also senses another mysterious power protecting Sindel from within. Every attempt to get closer is blocked by an invisible barrier. The two alphas can only observe his reactions, hoping to uncover the hidden truth. Sindel continues resisting as the dream grows more unstable with every passing moment. Each time he forces himself to remain calm, his carefully built disguise seems to crack a little more. Just before his secret is about to be exposed, Sindel gathers every ounce of willpower to break free from the dream. He suddenly wakes in the middle of the night, breathing heavily. His clothes are untouched, yet everything he experienced feels frighteningly real. Grinding his teeth, Sindel can only blame the two mysterious alphas for the entire ordeal. Just then, a series of urgent knocks echoes from outside the house. Haduna rushes in, calling her son's name with panic on her face. She tells him that royal guards have surrounded the building, and before Sindel can understand what is happening, another unexpected crisis arrives at his doorstep. What do you think? Are Anu and Ish truly trying to protect Sindel? Or do they simply see him as a valuable piece in a much larger game? Share your theory in the comments below. We would love to hear what you think.